giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! What's happening, people, on this beautiful Wednesday? We have another round of buy or sell. Hurry up and buy. This time, I'm showing a little bit of love to the defense. We did offense last week. Got some key defensive questions or statements or just topics that have been brought up throughout the offseason, and some of them, or one of them at least, I don't think really has. So we'll talk about that. We'll see if these important factors you guys buy into or you're selling for the 2024 season. Plus, in the roundup, the Cowboys are back in the free agency pool. Yes, indeedy, baby. Yes, indeedy. But just not the free agency pool you think. It's not that one. It's a whole different free agency pool that they just love to tap into at this point in time. So we'll briefly discuss that in the roundup. But what's good with you, Bomb Squad? How you doing, man?
Bomb Squad!
How we feeling on this Friday? See, I'm thinking Friday because y'all already in here clowning. On this Wednesday, Professor Sky is up. Says just because I got a button up on. Y'all crazy, man. Swain said I look like page 13 out of... Hey, Swain, do I got a button for you about? You ain't gonna do that to me, man. You ain't gonna... Bruh. Don't do that to me. This dude definitely look like the Sears catalog. It's one of my favorite button-ups, man. Yeah, I wish, Rolo. Shit. Trust me. I wish. You know, I never got that. Yeah, I shouldn't say I wish, because a lot of the things, the way I am now, the things I've learned is because I've come up differently. But I never got people that grew up out there that wanted to imitate growing up in a rough neighborhood or the hood. Never got that. Even the friends that I met, you know, and they thought this was all cool. And I'm like, this ain't cool. I want your crib. I want a basketball court in a garage. What is a garage? Let me tell you something real quick. I know we already talking overtime stuff. We got a garage now. For the first time, I have a garage in my life, right, where I'm at. And I guess in Texas, y'all don't care about a garage and putting your cars in there. Yeah. Y'all just leave your cars outside in the heat, get them hot. We the only ones in our neighborhood that park our cars in the garage because of where we come from, PA. The rest of everybody else has their cars parked outside and it's 150 degrees. I don't get it. But maybe I'm new to all this stuff, man, but I never understood that. You know what I mean? I just never understood why people thought, you know, this was cool. It's not at all. But y'all are cool, Bomb Squad. So let's go ahead and hit the roundup and get into this buy or sell defense edition.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you, Cowboys Nation. We gotta come back to this conversation, by the way. I legitimately want to know why you Texans don't use your garage for your cars. Let me say that. We'll talk about that later. In the meantime, in between time, let's talk about the Cowboys dipping their toes back in the UFL pool. They've worked out 3 more, and I say 3, I know you see 4 here, but one of the players we already discussed. They worked out Jonathan Garvin, a defensive end, Wyatt Ray, that sounds like a wrestler, defensive end, Derek Roberson, defensive end, and running back / fullback John Lovett. Real quick here, this comes from .com. Shouts out to Nick Harris. We talked about Garvin already, so I'm just going to briefly discuss the other 3. Wyatt Ray, defensive end. He played this past spring in the UFL with the San Antonio Brahma Bulls, basically. He recorded 24 tackles, 5.5 sacks, and that tied for 6 in the UFL. He was undrafted free agent in 2019, and he played on 8 different teams. The defensive end, Derek Roberson, played with the DC Defenders, another UDFA in 2019, played 16 games with the Titans. Then you got the fullback / running back. I don't know. That's what Nick said here. Look, I haven't watched any of these dudes, although I did go check out this fullback running back. I wanted to see what he looked like. He played also with the San Antonio Brahmas. He was 5th in the UFL in rushing, 2nd in rushing touchdowns with 5, another UDFA out of college who was signed by Pittsburgh. Look, shouts out to these guys, right? They're getting a shot to take their UFL career and rejuvenate their NFL career. But question, y'all, because I don't watch UFL. Does the UFL have the worst defensive tackles in the world, Craig? This is a legitimate question. Because how are the Cowboys, how are they working out 8, 9, 10, 11 different people from the UFL and not one of them are a defensive tackle? I need answers. I need answers, man. Might have to go down to the Star, find Will McClay. Hey, Will, it's Will. Yeah, we talked briefly a long time ago, man. What's up with this defensive tackle situation? Why aren't y'all working out defensive tackles? Y'all know something we don't know? Anyway, I'm going to continue to call them out on it, man. So no DTs. And I don't know. Hey, lost in translation. Y'all help me out with this. I have not a clue about the defensive tackles in the UFL. There must be none. They must run. There must be no 1 text or 3 text. It's all NASCAR packages. End game. All end game in the UFL. I would love for them to work. Look, at this point, I don't care if they work out a defensive tackle from JUCO, if it's possible, right? I don't care if they work out a defensive tackle from the semi-pro league. Just show me a sign that you care about the defensive tackle situation, man. Show us a sign, man. That's all. Okay. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. We talked about, like I said, offense last week, and it was fun. I almost wanted to save this for Pat again, but this time we're going to do this amongst ourselves, you know, Cowboys Nation, Bomb Squad, and myself. We're going to do a little buy or sell. All right. And when I was putting together a few of these, I got 3. There's only 3, so this shouldn't be terribly long again, unless you want to call in 351-999-3787. When you talk about defense, obviously Mike Zimmer's name pops up. So we will definitely be discussing a question or a buy or sell segment part of it that I had that popped in my head that I wanted to get your take on here. But I want to start off a little slower here. The first one. Buy or sell. A rookie defender will emerge as a starter in 2024. As I was putting this together and thinking and you know, digging back, if you go look under the Mike McCarthy era, usually a rookie defender starts. In 2020, you had Trayvon Diggs. In 2021, you had Micah Parsons and Osa Odighizuwa. 2022, you had Bland and Clark. Now, Bland and Clark, they only started 5 games for Clark and 8 games that year for Bland. Micah started right out the gate, and Diggs started 11 games before he got injured in 2020. Now, the latter two right here, Bland and Clark, they got their shot mostly due to injury. And truth be told, it may come down to injury, right? Because if it wasn't for LVE, and at the time, I think it was, who was here? Anthony Barr. If it wasn't for those two getting hurt, there's likely chance that Clark does not start at least. If Jordan Lewis does not get hurt, we might not know who DaRon Bland is. You could take that one of two ways. You can say, well, get these young men on the field because look what they can become in regards to Bland and Diggs. Or you can say, why the hell weren't they on the field, coach? What were you thinking? So when I go look at the history and I look at the players, because that's really the key here. The history is a history, but what about the present? How can these defenders go on the field? There's 3 defenders, right? You got Marshawn Kneeland, 2nd round pick. You got Maris Leofau, 3rd round pick. And you got Kalen Carson, the cornerback in the 5th round. I don't think initially any of these guys will. So I'm selling because I don't think they will initially. Because they all have guys in front of them, veterans, that could make it difficult. But here's where I'm just going to throw a monkey wrench in my own thing here. And you guys obviously can talk about this too. If there was a guy that I believe could become a starter, I don't think it's Kneeland, believe it or not. And I don't think it matters if it's Kneeland because Kneeland's going to be a part of the rotation. So he's going to see significant snaps. I think it's Maris Leofau. Yep. I think it's Maris Leofau because he already has caught the attention immediately of the guy calling the defense, right? In Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer called him brilliant. He's working in and out with the ones already. Not that he's a starter, but he's working in and out with the ones. And if you look at each room, right, you look at the defensive line room, Sam Williams is getting that first crack, right, as the 6th man. So if something were happening to Micah or D-Law, there's Sam Williams. Although D-Law and Kneeland, I think you can swap those guys. But Sam, I think, can play over there too. Nonetheless, you got Micah, you got D-Law. The odds of Kneeland cracking that starting lineup are slim to none. Kalen Carson, a lot of people in front of him as well. DaRon Bland, Trayvon Diggs when he gets back. Jordan Lewis. Again, it would take injury, I think, for him to crack the starting lineup. Maris Leofau, though. He is in a room that I think is the most wide open. And did we break down? No, we didn't break down linebackers yet in State of the Unit. You go look oppo of Kendricks, right? Damone Clark. I wouldn't say he has a sponsor in the room right now. I know the linebackers coach is still here, but the real linebackers coach is Gunther. I would say he's not a super favorite. Maybe the favorite right now, but he could be beat out. Right? DeMarvion Overshown. Man, maybe the ultimate wild card. If DeMarvion Overshown fights back through this ACL, he's got a lot to say. But ACL, essentially a rookie, you know. He didn't play a lot. He didn't play at all last year, but he played in the preseason. And then you got Maris Leofau, 3rd round pick, who was labeled as brilliant by the defensive coordinator. And yes, you got the Buddy Johnsons and Damian Wilsons, but we don't expect those guys to be starters, let alone maybe not even part of the rotation. So I think Maris Leofau is the best chance to emerge as a starter amongst these 3. But I'm selling it. Which is, you know, again, when you go back and you look at this group, Diggs came in right away. It didn't take him long to start. Parsons right off the bat. Osa, I think it was because of injury. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like a couple guys got banged up. Osa got the start. He never turned back. But Bland and Clark really benefited from an injury. So, you know, I feel like this is not going to be a situation where, unless one of these dudes are just ridiculous, where off the bat they'll start. But if there was a guy to me, it's Leofau. What say you, Cowboys Nation? Who? I see a lot of buys here. I see a whole lot of buys. Who, though? That's what I want to know. Who do you guys see? Is it Leofau? Because I feel like he has the path of least resistance, where the other guys, they've got some resistance there. We got names. I see a lot of buys. I'm seeing some sells, but mostly buys. Who do you think? Rolo says Nealon. Yeah, that's how I feel, Rolo. I think Nealon will rotate. I don't even know if it matters if he starts, but just for this project, you know, emerge as a starter. It's going to be hard for Nealon to emerge as a starter. Two guys in front of him are Pro Bowl guys, and then you know, two starters, I should say, are Pro Bowl guys, and then you got Sam Williams. Let's see who we got. Okay, Leofau. Well, Lemitra. She says Marquise. Marquise is, we're talking about the rookies here. Ooh, a Dylan. That's a good one. Because I definitely left out Justin Rogers because I didn't feel like he was going to start. But Justin Rogers. If you want to talk about path of least resistance, isn't that Justin Rogers? I like it. I like it. Think about it. How many one-techs the Cowboys truly got? Carl Davis. 305 Mozzie. Yeah. Man, if Justin Rogers emerges as a starter, that for real, that's probably the one. You know, I looked at these top three guys, but your 7th round pick might be the dude because he has no path. There's no resist. I'm sorry, not no path. There's no resistance to his path. At least with Marius Leofau, there's a couple dudes that could give him a run for his money. Who? You know what I mean? Who's really in that room right now? Right now, Mozzie's not even practicing. I mean, nobody is, but Mozzie didn't practice at all. Carl Davis may be the starter right now because he was here last year. So Carl Davis and Osa, but if Justin Rogers shows anything, it could be Rogers. Good one there. Good one there. Shouts out to you. Just saw Dexter Weston has joined the Pro Bowl membership. Shouts out to you and all our wonderful members. D-Shift said these guys still got to overcome training camp free agents. Fair. And that's the thing too, right? Hold off there on Justin Rogers because what if a defensive tackle is added? Right? If a defensive tackle is added here in camp, that's going to make it tough for them. Linebacker, I feel like they're going to be set at linebacker. They just added another one. I don't really see them doing too much. Don't see it. So, you guys are buying a rookie defender will emerge, but it's not none of these three. I like the name that was thrown out there with Justin Rogers. Good stuff there. Now, let's get back to kind of what I teased at the start of this thing here. And I was talking about one, Mike Zimmer. When Mike Zimmer's name first popped up as a candidate, we're not even talking about him being hired, just flat out as a candidate. The first thing that a lot of people thought about when they started to remember what Mike Zimmer did, or they might have did some digging, was what, y'all? The double A gap blitz or the double A gap mug. These simulated pressures, the thing that he's most famous for, the thing that he's perfected to the point where most of the league has mocked it, has tried to put their own spin on it. Essentially, it's been duplicated. Now, I don't know that he's the innovator here, but he perfected it. And I think what makes Mike Zimmer's double A gap, the split mug, the simulated pressure look, what I think makes his so special is that, you know, the way he's able to mirror a quality look behind it, right? He's able to tie these things together from the front to, you know, obviously the linebackers to the secondary, all the way to the safeties, not just the corners. And we're actually going to dive into that a little bit. But for those who are unaware what the hell I'm talking about, and you want to listen to somebody explain it a lot better than me, we played this video long time ago, back in like February when his name popped up. But here's John Gruden explaining exactly what this look is and why it's really challenging for coordinators and quarterbacks.
What really makes the Vikings special is Mike Zimmer's double A package. And what he does is he takes his two inside linebackers, Barr and Kendricks, and instead of lining them up at a normal alignment, he puts them in the A gap between the center and the guard. Then he takes his free safety, Harrison Smith, and he lines him up on the line of scrimmage. Then he takes his nickel corner and he puts him on the line of scrimmage on the strong side. So now they got 4 defenders on one side of the center, and they got 4 defenders on the other side of the center. It's Mike Zimmer's double A package. He did it in Cincinnati, he's doing it in Minnesota, and he's ripping people. A lot of the times, his 2 inside linebackers, they act like they're blitzing, but they bluff, and they run out of here and they play coverage. The free safety's acting like he's blitzing, and he bluffs, and he runs and covers the flat. The nickel is acting like he's blitzing, and he drops into the flat. Well, the next time you think they're bluffing, they bring them both. Or they bring one, and they bring him, and they bring 4 to a side. They got about 25 different things that they can do. I love watching these guys because they raise all kind of hell. They really do.
Indeed, he raises hell. He causes chaos. And, you know, the scheme is beautiful. I fell in love with a similar scheme, maybe not as nuanced on the back end that I remember, but the front 7, I just love Jim Johnson's scheme. And I hate to even say that because Jim Johnson, rest in peace, Philadelphia Eagles, but his scheme was very similar in mugging the A gaps. From a coverage standpoint, I fell in love with Dick LeBeau's scheme, defense coordinator, Pittsburgh, for years. I love what he did with his guys on the back end and causing confusion. But Zim kind of mixes in, both of those schemes. I think he marries a little bit of both. And we've shown plenty of film throughout the offseason on what he loves to do. And here's another example. And we looked at this a while back as well. But just like John Gruden said, all right, he likes to mug the A gaps and he'll bring his safety up here. We showed this last week, right? Sometimes that safety will come, sometimes he will not. And what you have is you got the split mug look with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys up front. Now you might say, well, Sky, they got 7 on 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They do, right? So you can keep this tight end in and you can keep this back in and you got to max protect. But now you're going to send 2 guys out to cover, or 2 guys out in the sea of what we call sometimes 5 or 6 or 6 or 7 if they fall back. That's the beautiful thing about this. You never know what they're going to do. And this is what's interesting here. I'm going to pause it and let this go. But remember when Micah said he does a lot of more twists and stunts? He's not really talking about literal twists and stunts. He's talking about messing with these quarterbacks' heads. And obviously, we always focus on the linebackers, right? Well, one guy will fall back right here, right? The center takes a step to the right. Kendrick blitzes. And then you got Anthony Barr, who's going to fall back into his hook zone area to take away anything in that area. But what you don't really see here is, hey, y'all, that's Everson Griffin. Now, look, I'm not saying I want to see DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons dropping back a whole lot. I don't. Not a whole lot. But from time to time to confuse quarterbacks, to confuse offensive linemen, okay. Or whoever this may be. Maybe it's Sam. Maybe whoever it is. But Everson Griffin is their B guy. Their A guy is Danielle Hunter. So let's pretend this is Micah actually rushing, and this is DeMarcus Lawrence falling back. But you'll see why him just falling back helps. Anyway, let the play run. And now I get a one-on-one with my blitzing linebacker, which this could be Micah, this could be Kendrick, this could be Demo. If it's Leofau, all of them can blow this up. And I get a free rusher. And this is why I think you get a free rusher and why I think, this question here that I'm going to pose to you could be interesting. We're going to get a whole lot more wide 9 technique looks, right? Now, he's not technically there, but he is. The wide 9 technique is going to have the defensive end aligning way outside, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on that tackle. And if that offensive tackle picks and chooses the wrong one, which normally you're supposed to pick the inside guy, and if the blitzer does come, and he did here, in Harrison Smith, you're going to get a free rusher. It's just the way it happens. So, that's the split mug look that happens. And I say all that to say, or pose this next buy or sell thing here. Buy or sell Mike Zimmer will have the greatest effect on the linebackers. Now, maybe I'm leading the witness a little bit here, but I like to think I've been fair this offseason in showing Zimmer's effect on the defensive line, Zimmer's effect obviously on the backers, and Zimmer's effect on the defensive backs. Right? Now, I know I just showed a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, but I just showed the double A gap situation here. But what he does on the back end might be just as good as what he does with his linebackers. And this is the same play, right? 7 guys up front. We got the split mug look. And we're going to take a look at what happens with the coverage. Now, remember, Zim likes to switch the picture a little bit. I don't know if you missed it here, but this safety was in a middle of the field close look. And then at the snap, it's middle of the field open. And now he's stacking over top of this tight end. And what you're going to see right down here on the play side as we let this thing go, it's a 2-man read. And what teams love to do is to get free releases and easy releases is they like to stack their receivers so that cornerbacks, especially if it's a press, they can't get their hands on them. Well, this doesn't matter because the corners are playing off. So on the play side, and this is the play side, obviously the quarterback is looking this way. The nickel's going to pick up the 1, and the boundary corner is going to pick up the number 2 who releases to the outside. Now, remember, on the front end, you had Everson Griffin dropping back. And play side, you got Matt Stafford trying to come this way. Problem is, if you want to go deep, he has it. If you want to come right here, he's dropping here. And as the play goes on a little longer, well, this is even covered up. Plus, if you want to come this area, you have 26. So, and what happens? You get a sack, fumble. And honestly, a lot of that, in my opinion, is created because of what Mike Zimmer was able to do on the back end. Now, obviously, the front end created pressure too. So that's why these things marry very well. So when I pose the question of buy or sell having the greatest impact on linebackers, I don't think it's as simple as yes, but I am going to buy it. And all you got to do is listen to a newly acquired, Willie Harvey Jr., a.k.a. the Assassin. He spoke to the media the other day. And Willie Harvey, just this one line pretty much sums it up. He said, quote, "It's a linebacker-driven defense, keeping the linebackers free to make plays." So that's why I buy it. And honestly, again, that wasn't an easy decision for me because I think he does so many great things on the back end with the safeties and the corners, and it can be a complicated scheme in that sense sometimes too. But this scheme, and this is coming from a guy that's now has the playbook, studied it up, talked to the coaches. This is a linebacker-driven scheme, so I do think he will have the greatest effect on the linebackers. Now, you could also break this down to 2 things. Zim himself is going to be working a lot with the DBs. Gunther will be working with the backers. But this is Zim's defense. Let me scroll back up here when I ask the question. Let's see here. Buy from Headhunter, Big Sarge. Buy. Easy buy from A. Sell says toxic. Marcelo has a buy. Swain buy. Tino says, I think there's going to be a huge improvement. I do too. Buy from Rico. Buy from Inc. Yeah, I think this is a buy. And again, I'm very much of the mindset that, look, if it's not the backers, then damn it, it's going to be the safeties or the DBs as opposed to the front seven. But hey, I can't go against what a linebacker in that room has said. The linebacker said this is a linebacker-driven scheme. So I got by. Let's take a quick break. Hit the phone lines. Well, it's not really a break, but let's hit the phone lines and talk to 254. What's good, man? You are live.
Hey, Skywalker, how are you today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, I love your show, man. First time caller, long time listener. And I'm trying to do my YouTube channel the way that you do yours. I love the way you design things, man. If I could just get 10% of what your knowledge is on that, I'd be winning. But I think you're onto something here. And I do feel like that Zimmer is going to save Mike McCarthy's job. I really do. There's something that's going to happen this year that's going to be special.
You know, it's so interesting because a lot of conversation. What's your name, my man?
Hey, yes, my name is Braun. I'm Commish Gaming and Sports in your chat.
Your name? Okay, I know you are in the chat. Your name is Braun, so I got to call you Braun. It's a WWE thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
Braun.
Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up because a lot of the conversation is Mike Zimmer is going to take over Mike McCarthy's job, right? Because a lot of people have Mike McCarthy's on a 1-year deal. He's on his way out, and Zim has the family ties to the Joneses. But this very well could be a situation like it was with Dan Quinn, where Quinn, in a way, kind of helped save McCarthy in 2022, where he was on a hot seat with the defensive performance that he had in the playoffs and during the regular season. So I see it. I definitely see what you're saying here with Zim potentially saving his job, but boy, that's gonna come down to the playoffs, right?
100%. And man, as a fan, as an old cat that's saw the Super Bowl wins when I was in my early 20s, I want to see the team succeed. But it'll be interesting to see how the year plays out. I'd like for them to get their extensions done with these guys, just so that as a fan we don't have to talk about this anymore, and we can just figure out where we're going to go from there. But I love what you're doing. You're an inspiring YouTuber for me.
Man, thank you.
It makes me want to be better at what I do, and just keep up the good work.
Heavy man. Thank you, Braun, for the kind words, and I'll keep on keeping on for you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Good stuff there. I said this a long time ago. Then time just kicked my ass. I don't have none of it. I was like, man, really thought about doing some type of sports course, YouTube course, because there is none. When I got into it, they teach you how to do YouTube, but YouTube and what we do here, sports YouTube, I think are totally different. At least how I do my show, at least. But some of the YouTube-y things, yeah, you can incorporate, but a lot of it you can't when it comes to sports. And all you can do is maybe look around at others and, all right, how do they do this? I mean, tweak it my way. But there are some fundamental things, in my opinion, that you do need to be able to do, depending on how you want to do your show. And one of these times, whenever I get the time, I do want to do that for some of you guys. Yeah, lost. There ain't, bro. Like, trust me, I looked. I was one of those who was like, hey, how do I YouTube when I first started? And I didn't see nothing sports-wise. My inspiration, believe it or not, didn't really come from YouTube. A lot of it came from big wigs, and I just figured out how can I make it into my own and make it more personable to you guys. So that's where we were at with it. All right, here's the last one. And again, if you want to call in, you can 351-999-3787. We ain't really talk about this one a whole lot. We briefly touched on it, on his recovery. But I wanted to pose it into a form of a question of sorts, right? Or a buy or sell question. Buy or sell? Diggs in year one will bounce back from his ACL and be better than the previous Cowboys returning from theirs. Bit of a mouthful, I get it. But Diggs 2024, his ACL bounce back will be better than the previous Cowboys. Buy or sell. We got a little PTSD, don't we, Cowboys Nation? A little PTSD with these damn ACL injuries. The history, it speaks for itself. ACL injuries have not been kind to the Cowboys. We've talked about that a ton. I've given you plenty of examples. You're talking about Terrence Steele, the most recent one, Michael Gallup, Tristan Hill, Blake Jarwin. And these are guys who had or were supposed to have key roles for the Cowboys. None of them returned early in year one and were not just the same player, but were a good player. Let's be real. Michael Gallup never recovered. And three of those dudes, Tristan Hill, Michael Gallup, Blake Jarwin, are no longer on the team, and all three of them were gone either after the second year of ACL or in the middle of that second year when you're talking about Tristan Hill. But Trayvon Diggs, it's a different animal we're talking about, y'all. This isn't an undrafted free agent. This isn't a second round bust. This isn't a guy who was already mid in regards to explosiveness, who suffered an injury to the knee where you need some explosion. This is a technician. This is a guy who knows how to use his length. This is one of the smartest cornerbacks in the National Football League. It's one of those situations where you're like, wait a minute, man, this is a dude. Trayvon is a dude, all pro, one of the best young corners in the league, who is now paired with another young corner who's labeled as one of the best in the league. But then there's that but. That damn but. How long will it take for him to round into form from that ACL? And can the scheme aid in that? The hell you mean by the scheme aid? Well, when I look at Dan Quinn's scheme and Mike Zimmer's scheme, remember, Dan Quinn is asking these dudes to play man damn near the whole game. So they're asking dudes to just run with receivers a whole lot. Hence why a lot of these schemes will say, okay, well then can you run across the field with me all game? I don't really see that being, I feel like it's going to be way more mixed. And when it comes to the back end, talking about, these schemes being maybe a little bit difficult, well, I think Diggs will pick that up. Diggs is extremely smart. I can't wait to see him in this scheme, honestly. Mike Zimmer is not going to ask him to run around with the receivers all day across the field. He's probably going to play mostly on the side, and a lot of the times he's going to be mostly playing the zone or reading, but still playing one side as opposed to manning up, cover one, wherever your guy goes, you go, and you're just running across the field. Remember that play against the Rams? Now, you got to pick on a similar play against Keelan Allen this a couple years ago where Cooper Kupp ran a crosser. Matt Stafford got it to him, and he took off for 74 yards, right? A similar situation against the Raiders years ago against Jordan Lewis where Deshaun Jackson runs a crosser, deep crosser, they take off. That is one of the, and deep crosses are tough, but that was one of the weaknesses of this scheme. Teams knew, we're just going to send guys on deep crossers. Even the Green Bay Packers, granted, wasn't man. We tried to run zone, didn't run a whole lot of zone all year, wasn't great at it. Pre-snap motion confuses the Cowboys. If you go look at early on in that game, on a big third down, they send a deep over, and there's just nobody in the area because the Cowboys didn't, at least with Dan, run it well. Wide open, big play, first down. Keep the chains moving. I feel like the scheme will aid a little bit in his recovery. But at the end of the day, it's still an ACL. This is the Cowboys. Or you're buying it or you're selling it on Diggs returning better than the previous Cowboys. I am buying it. You call me biased. You can say, well, Sky, you just want him to. You're right, I do want him to. But he a different animal, man. This is a more talented player than the guys we've discussed recovering. He's a smart player. And I do think the scheme will aid in it. Now, I will say this. I am not for rushing him out there. Like, he has to be. So here's the thing. Physically, he'll be able to go out there and do the physical things. It's normally not about the physical aspect. Now, always go back to, we can go to any of these dudes. We can go to Terrence. We can go to Gallup. But always go back to the interviews that I was listening to in regards to recovering from injury with Malik Hooker. And he said, hey, physically, I always feel fine because he was always injured. It's mentally trusting my knee or trusting my ankle, trusting my Achilles, whatever it may be. That's the part I cannot take. I can't figure out, because physically the science says, oh yeah, he'll be able to go out there and run around. No problem. Mentally. That's the part. So I'm buying it. Right? I'm cautiously buying it. INC said, I spent my funds. I got to sell it. T-Jack is buying off of hope. I might be a little bit too T-Jack, but in all seriousness, I do feel like there are things that make sense to buy it though. Lemitra says she's definitely buying it. Toxic is holding off for now. It is early Toxic. Maybe we got to get out there and see him at camp. The Guru said pre-snap misdirection plays a nuisance for Cowboys defense. And they normally are for all defenses in the league nowadays. But Dallas is running so much cover one or man, that plays right into it. And wants to see how he runs. Fair. Very fair. The Guru has a cornerback had high INT numbers under Zimmer. Yes. So I have safeties though. Where that's interesting, right? Like safeties don't have a lot of high INT numbers under Dan Quinn, but cornerbacks do. But we talked about this a while ago. The Guru. If you go back and look at the Cincinnati regime, help me out, y'all. The former Alabama corner, he was racking them up. He had a lot of interceptions under Dan Quinn. Dreads. Number 24 maybe, but he had a lot of interceptions. So yeah, they get picks, but I don't think I'm sorry, I keep saying Dan. I don't think Mike Zimmer is all that enamored with the cornerbacks trying to get picks. He said, look, we may fall back from an interception standpoint with these guys because we want them to be more disciplined. That's where the safeties come into play. Nah, not Pac-Man, but that's a good answer too. I said Dreads. The Alabama kid. It's Kirkpatrick. Thank you. Yes, Kirkpatrick. He had a lot of interceptions under Mike Zimmer. T-Dub says he'll more than likely start on PUP. I don't know, T-Dub. The last guy to start on PUP, I think, was Tristan, maybe. Might be wrong. Terrence didn't start on PUP. Even Michael Gallup didn't start on PUP. He just didn't play till week 3. So unless you know something I don't know, it'll depend on his recovery in camp. If he looks good, he'll be out there. Remember, he tore his early. Gallup still tore theirs late and didn't start on PUP. So if he starts on PUP, it might be a little bit of a concern from the physical standpoint. Now, if he come out there and say, Coach, I'm just not feeling I ain't feeling it. Well, can you run? I can run. Can you cut? I can cut. What's the issue? I don't trust myself. Then damn it, you pup them. You pup them. We can't have anybody out there not trusting themselves. Can't do it. Won't do it. Now, will he start on PUP for camp? That is very possible. We've seen it with, I think 1 year Byron Jones did it. Hell, I think these guys did it. But you can come off PUP at any given time. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me here. If he starts on PUP for the season, I don't think he can come off of PUP during camp. Is that right? I don't think he can. I think the only way to start on PUP is you have to be on PUP the whole way through. It's some weird, tricky way. Something like that. Swain said Kirk was underrated. He was a problem in that Zimmer scheme. Newman and Pac-Man. Let's go see. I honestly don't remember. When I did the research on the situation, Kirkpatrick was the one that popped out. I was like, damn. But yeah, a lot of interceptions. Now, he was a playmaker, Pac-Man Jones. Let's see. Okay, so we'll go. He left in 14. So he played 4 years with Zim. Looking at punt return. I don't want that. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah, not a whole lot of interceptions for Pac-Man. Only 4 interceptions. 2013, he had 3. So he went 1 interception, 0, 3. So that's Pac-Man. Let's check out T. New. But see, with Newman, though, Newman, it's more of a longevity thing and just solid play for so long. So, all right, here we go. He played 1, 2. He only played 2 years under Zim in Cincy, and he had 4 picks. Then he went to Minnesota and played 1, 2, 3, and had 3, 4, 5 picks. So, 8 picks in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 seasons. So not really a whole lot. Whereas Kirkpatrick, you go look at 1, 2, 3, he played 2 years under him. And really Gunther too, right? You gotta look at Paul Gunther because he stayed and used that same scheme. But just these two. Kirkpatrick, he had 5. He had 5 in 2 years. And then after that, he had 4 more. So I guess corners don't get a ton of interceptions here under Zimmer's scheme, but the safeties. Oh, it wasn't Kirkpatrick we were talking about. It was the safeties we were talking about. It was the safeties. Yeah. Antoine Winfield Sr. was a beast. Somebody called in. My bad, I didn't get to you. But if you want to call back in, by all means. We're just about in overtime. Xavier Rhodes, that's a good one. INC, he fell off pretty bad though. And we tried to sign him and we saw what happened. So there we have it. We looked at a couple buy or sells. Diggs bouncing back. I bought that one. We looked at Zimmer having the greatest effect on the linebackers. I also bought that one. And then, will a rookie defender emerge as a starter? I sold on this one. It's good conversations, though. See, y'all got me digging now. I know I love these numbers and just looking at trends and whatnot. Reggie Netasso. Hey, look, man. Come on, Will. You can't be doing that to everybody with dreads. Y'all, I was talking about Reggie Nelson. So Reggie Nelson under Mike Zimmer in Cincinnati had 6, 9, 11. Reggie Nelson was the safety I was referring to, not the corner. He had 11 interceptions in 3 seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. Everybody that's black with dreads ain't the same, Sky. What are we doing here, man? See, that be happening to what's old boy over there? Not Kirkpatrick, Stanback. That happens to Stanback and Jesse. I'll get people to during game day live, they come up to Jesse. Oh, Stanback, man, I was watching. Jesse be like, it's not me. No, this is what he says. Wrong black guy with dreads. Yes, Jesse Holly, man. They be getting Jesse Holly and Stanback mixed up. So yes, my bad. We went all on Kirkpatrick, Reggie Nelson. We were talking about safeties, getting interceptions and being playmakers. I knew it didn't add up. It was Reggie Nelson. So there we have it. All right, let's get into the chat and just rap a little bit on this way out here. Wanye Thomas season, Darnell. That's what I'm. That day we talked about safeties. Wanye was the guy. I think Wanye believe it or not, Malik Hooker, because I feel like we are a little bit far removed from seeing Malik be able to patrol halves and play well. Go look at the Indianapolis film. When he was able to patrol like that, he was getting intercepted. I think if Wanye starts, I don't know if he will, but if he doesn't, then I think Malik would be a guy that would not shock me if he gets 4 or 5 interceptions this year, because the scheme is allowing these safeties to do it. Shouts out to the brother Vach in the building. Oh man, it ain't my business to tell, but I got told. Love you, bro. Sky got a name for Izzy. Oh, name for you. Izzy's one at corner or at safety? Izzy got it. We just did safety. Smoke one for you. He's one of the dudes to me I said has a steep hill to climb. In fact, in order for Izzy, in my opinion, to see the field, he's going to have to be a corner. I think he's going to have to move to corner. If we're talking about safety, Izzy he's been jumped. He's been jumped by Wanye, and now that Bell was going to safety, he's jumped by Bell. So I feel like he's going to have to go to corner. Now he goes to corner. Now he can compete for that kind of backup boundary role. So what are they doing with Izzy? What are they doing with him? If it's safety, bro, he might not make the team. If it's safety. Hard for me to imagine those guys keeping, 5 or 6 guys there. Is he at corner? A little different. But yeah, we had an in-depth conversation, Smoke one for you, when we did our State of the Unit safeties. And I remember just 2 years ago, before Wanye emerged, I was like, hey, y'all, Izzy could be a free safety. I mean, if he's a safety, he's going to be a free safety, a roof type guy. Because we only had one in Malik Hooker. Well, now Wanye has emerged, and I think Wanye can do those things better. So these shifts at position flex, possibly. That doesn't come to mind, though, when it comes to Mike Zimmer's scheme. I don't think a whole lot of position flex when I think of Mike Zimmer. I think of guys who play what they are. Now, when you talk about Dan Quinn, well, we know he's super high on position flex. Izzy only got to beat out Nashawn and Scott for what? Cornerback 5 or 6. I mean, at corner. But cornerback 4, I think right now, I know Kalen Carson's a rookie, but I gotta look at Kalen Carson having a leg up because he is Mike Zimmer guy. Izzy's not. Right? Like if you don't have a sponsor in the building, then damn it, you better have shown something. I'm leaving here with something. You better have shown something. And if you go look at recent, not a whole lot for a couple of these guys. Nashawn Wright, the Eric Wrights of the world. Eric Scott, I'm sorry, of the world. Where Kalen Carson, that's their guy. Although I still would love to go get me a veteran. Oh, and they just signed a corner. A former first-round pick, Garyon Conley. So even more competition now in that cornerback room. I tell you this, whoever emerges to round out the cornerback room, it'll be because of meritocracy. It'll be because competition. Because Diggs, Bland, J. Lou, Carson, those are 4 guys that no matter what, they're good. You could argue possibly Eric Scott. I don't know if they're willing to just give up on the 5th round pick 1 year in. I don't know. So 4 and a possible, right? So that 5-6 spot between Scott and Izzy and Wright and Conley, it ain't gonna be handed to nobody. Same thing for safety. If they decide to roll with 5, I think getting into that top 4 gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Trill out on J. Lou. Well, they not. They not out on J. Lou. He finished strong, coming back from an injury. I thought J. Lou, again, we had this conversation. He, especially returning from the injury, keep it a bean. I don't think he gets enough credit for stepping in as soon as he had to step in due to the injury. He held it down, in my opinion, when you really look at the whole thing in a totality, right? He held it down enough as cornerback 4. It had to be cornerback 3 right away after a career-threatening injury. Year 2 returning, a veteran guy. I told you, I think this scheme is going to fit him like a glove in that slot. I'm glad we brought him back, because if you didn't bring him back, you didn't bring Gilly back, boy, you really hurting from a depth standpoint. You needed to bring some veteran guys in this room. Now, you could have got somebody else, but Dallas doesn't do that. They want to dance with the lady, or what is it? What's the saying? They want to bring the date they know to the prom, dance with the lady they know at the prom. That's what they want to do, right? I just hope they still go out and bring back Gilly. Six cornerbacks, 5 safeties make the roster. Guru asked. The numbers game, I think, is a bit early. It's a bit early because they're going to go short somewhere to go long elsewhere. If I had to guess right now, your best bet is to go short at safety if they're not going to trade anybody, because there's just no need for me, in my opinion, to have 5 safeties on this team. You got 4, in my opinion, again, good quality guys that you can swap in and out if need be. There's no need for 5 because you're not running big nickel 75% of the time. So I would go short at safety, longer elsewhere. It don't got to be corner. It can be DE, it could be linebacker, it can be wide receiver, wherever else. But if I had to sacrifice a position right now, it'll be safety for me. Hey, you know what's crazy, Rolo? Rolo said Belichick can go to prom with his girlfriend. We in overtime right now. I'm in the middle of watching that Yankee documentary, the 1990 Yankee team, which, boy, I did not know they was, man, you want to talk about problems. Mel Hall, is that his name, y'all? Quite literally took a teenager to prom. And now he in jail for some of that, messing with minors and whatnot. But what's wild is the Bull took her to prom. They took the picture, grown man, by the way, and put it in the Yankee yearbook. And it was like nobody was batting an eye with their relationship. Man, 90s was wild, bro. 90s was wild. Who we talk about, T-Dub? Clearing waivers. Julius Woods. Is that what we talking about? I agree, CT. CT Matt here said Thomas, Wilson, Hooker, Bell is all we need. That's all we need, man. And then what you do is you try to get one of these guys like Julius Woods on the practice squad, man. We ain't going there, DNP. We ain't going there. If you enjoyed today's show, Cowboys Nation, Bomb Squad, please, on your way out, hit that like button, right? That is our virtual currency, as my brother Vach would say. Share this, because that's also important. Share this with your friend, family, and foe, because we want to keep continuing to grow this thing, man. I like to think this is one of the more quality Cowboys morning shows or shows in general, and we got such a huge fan base and huge community. It can be a bit overstimulated sometimes with so much going on, but share. That is probably the most important thing. Even if you forget to like, share as this thing continues to grow, and we'll take this thing to new heights. Friday, we'll be back. We'll have Pat on, and we'll be discussing probably a lot of these guys that the Cowboys just worked out, and maybe we'll dabble back into the mailbag. I don't know yet. That's still up for grabs. Or maybe we will do another State of the Unit with old Pat and try to get him back here via video. But a lot of good things working on behind the scenes with him. And like I said before, with Vach. So I just ask y'all for patience. Which we ain't got nothing but patience in the dead period. So you ain't got a choice. Keep on rocking with your boy. That's all I'm saying. Keep on rocking with your boy. I got you, Demetrius. It's about that time to press the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Facts, Mel. Facts. Quality over quantity all day and tomorrow. I will never, ever, ever veer from that. Won't happen. Trill wants to talk trades. Throw that up in there. Hey, throw that into it. If we do the mailbag, Trill, throw that in there. Talk about it. Love y'all. We out of here. Peace. Forgot to talk about this damn garage thing, though. Why you Texans park your car outside when you got a perfectly great garage? Y'all love the heat. I can't stand this summer heat.